By now, most of you are already aware of UFO disclosure and all of the things coming out about Egypt. Jesse Michaels just did an interview with Filippo Biondi and the one and only Jeffrey Drum. And this was an amazing one because it brought me back to a few weeks ago at the Pyramid Conference of Illinois, where I, believe it or not, had a lot of amazing conversations, and I've got a lot of great content from that conference that I still need to share with you. But the one thing that came up in that interview was a lot of Chris Dunn's work. And I've had a lot of amazing conversations throughout my time in researching these different topics related to the archaeological world. But one of the people who I've gotten to have a really good conversation with was Chris Dunn. We did get kind of put off to the side. This was an impromptu conversation. We kind of thrown in a back room real quick while at the conference, but we did have an amazing conversation. I can't stress that enough. But I want to let you know ahead of time. The sound quality is not the greatest. This was my first attempt at anything journalistic. This was my first attempt at anything documentarian or movie related or just making anything. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a huge movie buff and film buff. I've got a whole lot of research and knowledge when it comes to those things, but I've never actually done this stuff before. I've done the research. I have the knowledge. I have the capability and the intelligence to do so. So I went out and did it. But forgive me, I just went out with a GoPro and just got what I could, had conversations that I could, just pushed it as far as I could push it. So the sound quality is not the greatest. So please forgive me for that. But I've gotten a lot of different gear since then. I've gotten better about getting better audio and video quality. I got a little set up here, so I'm getting there. But please forgive me for the lack of amazing sound quality. But if you can get past that, there's an amazing message behind it and a whole lot of amazing knowledge talking about the pyramids, the technology, and everything coming out right now. I haven't had a chance to share a lot of the things, like I just said a moment ago, from that conference, and I'll do my best to upload and share everything I have because there's a lot. I got to have amazing conversations with Filippo Biondi, Armando May, Trevor Grassi, Billy Carson, Chris Dunn, the whole 9 yards. There's a whole lot of people there with a lot of amazing knowledge and experience. People like Captain Leo Walton, for instance. Man, the list goes on, and I've got content from all of it. But a whole lot has been going on. A lot's been up in the air the last few weeks, trying to prepare for the trip to Egypt. Now things have shifted with that, getting prepared to do all sorts of things in Egypt with a few people. So it's been a hectic few months trying to get everything prepared, lined up, organized in a way that I can make sense of it with my ADHD mind. So I've done my best to do as best I can with all those things. But my point is, I haven't had a chance to just focus on all of the content and uploading it and sharing it with all of you. But now that I have the time to focus on doing so, and now that all of this is finally coming out and I can talk about it openly, I want to share a whole lot of fun stuff with you because the world is changing in a major way right now. It's legitimately happening. For anyone who's still on the fence about whether or not this is actually truly happening, prepare yourself because a lot is about to come your way. This isn't any longer a decision of whether or not we believe UFO disclosure or not. UFO disclosure is happening, but there's a lot more to it. It changes everything about our history and our past, to our science and physics and what we know about it, to where we're going in the future and what's even possible, all the way back to things like religion. This is changing everything, people. So start paying attention to this, start researching it, start focusing on this in some general way to where you can educate yourself and know what's right, what's wrong, what's true, what's false. There's a lot of psyops involved. We all know this with all of these topics. A lot of secrets, a lot of things being kept underground, so to speak. So we'll get to that. But this is a long interview. And again, the sound quality is not the greatest, but you can hear it. So forgive me for that. But if you can get through it, it's an amazing conversation with the one and only Chris Dunn. So forgive me for my long intro and my long rant, but enjoy the conversation.
All right. So, obviously, there's an incredible amount of information coming out all at once, it seems, from all these different angles, whether it be Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids, the chambers in the pyramids, the Sphinx and what's under it, the tunnels. I mean, it goes on, but basically there's...
It's hard to keep up sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So the different connections, especially the stuff happening right now, there's a resurgence of interest into the large void of the pyramid. It seems like it's coming back in popularity, sort of. It went away briefly, but Matt Beal just had a major podcast who talked about the void, and not only that, that NASA has major interest in getting into the void. Have you heard this? Do you know anything about this?
I didn't know anything about NASA having an interest in it. Where did that come from?
Well, I had a brief interview with Billy Carson as well 2 days ago, and he mentioned the same thing. The main big pyramid has that void that we haven't gotten into yet, that one
Right.
area. And even Armando May mentioned it last night, from the different angles, proving that if it moves from the different angles of the satellite, that means it can't be like dust or out of focus or just electrical things happening. It has to be an actual structure. So if NASA wants to get in there, what could possibly be in there that's so important?
Oh. Well, I can tell you.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's part of the machine. And, you know, how does it function? There are speculations on what its function may be as a part of the machine. And they were given to me by Eric Wilson, who is an engineer, Rolls-Royce engineer. And he claimed that the space could prove out to be a preamp for the hydrogen microwave path, the waveguide. So hydrogen comes from the universe, right? Or that signal, which is 21 centimeters wavelength, which is 8.309 inches. It's a match for the dimensions of the shaft, the normal shaft. And so that space exists right by the normal shaft. And the way Eric described it to me was that if there was like an electrical connection with that space, all they would have to do is fill it with quartz crystal, and it could serve as a preamp. So the signal gets amplified as it comes through there, and before it enters the king's chamber.
so does that tie? Are you familiar with Jeffrey Drum in the Land of Chem? He's a YouTuber.
I've heard of it, yeah.
He actually just came out, I think, within the last 2 weeks, I guess. Don't quote me on the exact time, but very recently, he discovered the iron ore deposits that are basically in between and connecting all three pyramids. So there's some sort of connection there for an electrical current to go in some way, shape, or form, or maybe at one time.
Yeah.
I mean, what difference could an iron ore deposit make if that's accurate? What would that change?
It could act as a waveguide from deep within the earth. So you have a situation, the geology of the Giza Plateau is such that there are these basalt dikes that actually come up through the sedimentary rock. I haven't done much research on the iron or actually discussed that in any great detail with anybody, but it's a part of the geology, and that won't surprise me. I do know about the basalt dikes, though, and basically the basalt dikes, when there is electron flow in the lithosphere, and they hit one of those dikes and shoot to the surface. That's more efficient.
So it almost seems like if these iron ore deposits really are in basically the entire area in between each pyramid, it almost seems like they're completing a circuit of some kind.
Could be.
And
Definitely. I mean, the question is then, is it a natural deposit or is it man-made?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think further research may reveal the truth as far as that goes.
As soon as he found that same discovery, and forgive me, I don't know the exact term for this. I think it's called electrolysis. But he also found that the same pattern used for, I think it's like lightning through glass or electricity through glass.
Yeah.
He found the same exact patterns in these iron ore deposits branching out just like a tree, and they're everywhere.
Right.
In between each pyramid, they're connecting all three. There's some next to the Sphinx going towards the pyramid, and it's spidering out just like electricity. And I mean, to me, I don't see. I'm not a professional in that field, but I don't see anything else it could be. But any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that all ideas are valuable. They should be out there and to be considered. I don't dispel anything. I just have an overall view myself. So my perspective on the Great Pyramid, that has been my focus entirely. Although I am aware of the other pyramids in the area, and I recognize that a complete engineering analysis has not been done in terms of how they function as electron harvesters, which is my theory on the Great Pyramid. But certainly they do, in my opinion. Even down to Saqqara. Now that doesn't mean that the technologies or the knowledge that they ancient had of tapping into the lithosphere and through vibration and stimulating electron flow that flows very quickly to the surface. That doesn't mean that is that cannot have other purposes besides being distributed as a microwave beam out of the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid.
There's been videos claiming to see things like that.
Yeah, it could be. There could be other purposes because, after all, it's energy, and different processes require energy. And I would say that, if you have the Giza Plateau has three major pyramids, and it's got 6 minor ones. Some people say that there's more than that, but there's basically 9 pyramids on the Giza Plateau, and they functioned, I believe, as a complete system. Okay, so I studied the Great Pyramid because it was the most complete. It had the most information available to the public through the source literature. In other words, academics and earlier explorers, eyewitness accounts of what was in Flinders Beach with the Agus Mine, Howard Vyse, all these earlier explorers document a lot of information about it. So, and then the other pyramids did not. And so,
let me stop you real quick. I also noticed, and I want your opinion, the 3 sets of pyramids you just mentioned, I noticed they're all small, medium, and large. So they're 3 different sizes. And I'm curious if the same way an electrician would wind copper wire to step up the voltage, is it possible that there's some similarity in that process? Because if you were to use the term electron harvesting, which I'd like to come back to as well, but is it possible they're stepping up, for lack of a better word, the electricity or power from pyramid to pyramid?
Yeah, actually, in my first book, The Giza Power Plant, I propose an analogy to like a very, very large diesel engine. It will have a small gas engine on the side, that would prime it and get it going. So it wasn't a cold start for that big engine. They would have another engine on the side as a starter. Well, similar to a starter motor, but all these rather large engines, they have other devices to the side that will get them going. So you see 3 smaller pyramids by the Great Pyramid, were they used to get the big one going? That's a question that I pondered on. I can't say that. It's just an idea. I can't say that that's a fact.
I guess none of us really know, right?
Well, we don't know. But the other thing is, you're talking about. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot, and I'm kind of froggy.
I have some water. I don't know if you feel weird about drinking after
it's
this,
all
but
right.
feel free to say so.
Don't worry about it. And so the other part of that is that the different sizes of the pyramids, and I see that they may be related to the harmonics of the site and the frequencies, right? So they all resonate at a different frequency.
How many frequencies does it take to get to a harmony?
How many frequencies?
Or how many different
harmony?
sounds to get an exact harmony? Is it two
Well,
or
you
is it three?
only need 2 notes for harmony, right?
So, is it possible that a third is acting as a neutral?
Yeah, you could have
balance,
that,
so to
but
speak.
the thing is what frequencies or a group of frequencies have the most effect. Because that, acoustics gets very, very complicated.
I understand there's like halfway points, like let's say there's frequency 1 and 2. There's also all the points in between 1 and 2 that you can't get to unless you combine 2 separate frequencies to create.
Right, you're talking about a little bit about like nonlinear acoustics now.
See, again, I'm not familiar with certain terms, but yes.
Yeah, so you have 2 frequencies where if you introduce another one, it really amps up the volume.
Right.
I think they use that nonlinear acoustics in acoustic engines, right?
It's clear they were very knowledgeable about sound.
Oh yeah, very. And I think that Arabic music is on a different tone system. They don't use the Western scale. Right? The Egyptian instruments, Arabic instruments like the oud, other string instruments, they don't have any frets, so they're not constrained. And so that's why when you listen to Arabic music, there's a lot of microtonal notes. And that's what Robert Walter talked about the Great Pyramid, is that the frequencies that he was detecting were microtonal. They weren't like exactly 440 or something like that.
Could that also be because of some of the structure missing, possibly?
Yeah, certainly could. Certainly could. But it's kind of like tuning an orchestra, right? You have one instrument that is tuned, and then all the other instruments tuned to that. Why can't they all tune to the same frequency? And then come together and play.
It's like
they're all made out of different materials, right?
It's like the earth is the instrument and the pyramids are the amplifier, or guitar versus amplifier, sort of. Well, that's if you believe the earth vibrates and creates that.
Well,
Seems
of
as though
course,
it's amplifying it.
Of course I do.
Speaking, so to speak. But back to your point about electron harvesting, and I probably should have started with this, but can you explain exactly what that is for the people who don't understand what electron harvesting is and how it could be even done in a pyramid?
Electron harvesting is what we do in power plants. And that was a part of my presentation this morning, is that today we quarry coal, right, load it onto these train cars and transport it to a power plant where it is crushed and injected into boilers to boil water. You boil water and then that creates steam. The steam is pushing through pipes into these big turbines. Massive turbine blades, and so it's blowing through there and rotating it. Rotating the turbine, at the end of it you have a generator, and then you harness the electricity from the generator. So you go to all that trouble, and all you're getting is electrons at the end. You get electricity.
How would that process?
So the harvesting is a little different. You're harvesting electricity that way. You're still harvesting because we don't create electrons. Electrons already exist, and so electrons exist everywhere in nature. So the harvesting part in the pyramids relies on the work of Friedman Freund, an astrophysicist who did research on earthquake lines, and he theorized that the earthquake lights were the result of these peroxide defects in the minerals that actually, when put under stress, they will shoot out these positive Hall electrons. And those positive Hall electrons, the p-holes, will shoot to the surface. And all you need to do is just shake up the granite a little bit. It's an igneous rock under the earth. It's like, maybe 100 kilometers deep, the whole thing. But it's, when put under stress, it turns into a battery. So we're actually sitting on top of a huge battery. And the electrons are right beneath our feet.
I'm curious if you remember. I'm going to see if I can find this video to clip in later, but there was a video circulating a while back, and it's very hard to find now, but it was a pyramid shooting something out of the top of it, and it made this noise that it just seemed so otherworldly that no one could fake that noise, but it was a very short, like 5-second clip video. It wasn't very long,
right.
But it was at night, clearly a beam of energy of light shooting out of the top of the pyramid, and it made this like sound, and it's amazing. Hopefully I can find it. Are you familiar with that video?
No.
Is that kind of what you were just describing?
Where was it? Where was the pyramid?
That part I'm not sure. The video didn't say where it was. It was just a clip that was online, and it definitely wasn't fake, but at the same time, I'm not saying the sound wasn't added to it later. But I'm curious what your thoughts were. Right,
you
yeah.
gotta be careful, right?
I'm not claiming the video is real for anyone's watching, but I'm just wondering if you knew anything about that or saw the video, because the sound.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised.
The sound I heard is unlike anything I've ever heard. I don't see how someone could fake that, because it was strange.
Well, earth sounds are present, and you know, earthquake lights are present. There are light shows. There are places around the planet that are hot. You know, they're more energetic than others. We live in a kind of a quiet area, but if you go down to Texas or in Marfa, Texas, they have these light shows occasionally with terrestrial light show.
Almost like a Northern Lights kind of show?
Well, it's it's the release of electrons into the atmosphere, and then they ionize the air, and basically you have a light show. Great. Now, if you could capture those electrons and put them to use somewhere else, or if you could actually increase the flow of electrons by designing a system where you are not waiting for nature to decide to release them, you're actually going down into the bedrock through the sedimentary layer and into the igneous layer, and pumping those electrons out from deep under the earth. It's like, we drill for oil, we drill for gas, right? So my proposal is that we start drilling for electrons and find out where the real hot spots are, the energetic spots are. And that way you can combine the discovery of Filippo Biondi and his team of these deep wells under the pyramids on the Giza Plateau, and then test it, see what kind of output you can drive from the igneous rock, and then decide what area is the most feasible to actually build a pyramid. And
is that connected to the things called ley lines?
I don't know if that's the case.
I'm not familiar with them.
I don't know if ley lines feed into that. I mean, they're all over the place, so they're not. But if you don't have ley lines, and you don't have an earthquake zone, right? Or you don't have the plates pushing against each other. In fact, it's better that you don't drill into those, maybe nearby, because you are causing vibration into the earth plates, and that could actually mitigate the occurrence of earthquakes.
So most people, I think, at this point are if not all, most people are fairly confident in starting to believe that electricity was absolutely involved in the pyramids. Not only that, but it was most likely built for that specific purpose. But
Right.
following that train of thought, okay, let's have some fun here. What kind of things would that amount of power, that sheer amount of power, be used for? Because the amount of power that that could make seems like it would be enough power to do some sci-fi movie type things.
Awful lot, yeah. Well, I mean, what do we use electricity for?
Yeah.
How much electricity are we going to need in the future? I don't know if you saw my presentation, but I showed what the payback would be. Like the cost of electricity today in Illinois.
What was it?
It was about 12 to 14 cents
Wow.
a kilowatt hour, and a conservative estimate of tapping into the igneous granite and releasing electrons that way, rather than, you know, all the cost of transporting coal, actually quarrying it, transporting it, all those different costs, maintenance of those systems, the number of people that you employ to make that happen, that all goes away.
Yeah.
Right? So the upfront costs, right, it's front loaded. The system may be what, 25, $50 billion to build. But then after it's built and it's running, then you have not free electricity, you're going to have, you know, some maintenance costs, some operational maintenance costs. But certainly it will run for centuries, maybe a millennia, you know, without occasional maintenance.
This may sound like a silly question, but is a pyramid an example of a free energy device? Or is there a difference?
I don't think there's such thing as a free energy.
Or absorbing
You
energy
do
from
have,
the ether?
I
Or,
mean, even the upfront cost of
Right.
developing the technology to release that free energy. It's free energy, in the air is free energy. Electrons floating around, right?
so it's just processing the energy.
So
that already exists.
what do we do to actually release those electrons that are in the atmosphere? Today we use there's also zero point energy, but I haven't seen any machine, I've heard a lot of talk about it,
Yeah.
but there's no practical application of it that I've seen. I mean, here we're talking about fairly known technologies in terms of materials, processes, fuel source, or the source of the electron. Those are all fairly known. It's just a matter of just putting them together, thinking differently about energy production.
Finding the right recipe.
Right.
Yeah.
And free energy is not free. The upfront cost is expensive for developing the technology to develop a power source. But after that, after the technology and the upfront costs are out of the way, then yeah, it's like minimal.
How long do you think it would take to get there if we started today?
How long do I think? The process, it's going to be a multi-step process. First of all, you're going to have stakeholders to buy in on it, right? So you need people to say, okay, yeah, this has promise. So I'll tell you what, we'll do it in stages. First of all, we need to test, right? We need to test to find out if it's viable. So we're not going to invest $50 million to build a pyramid. What we're going to do is we are going to go out and do some drilling and prove out the technology, prove out the physics, the concept. So we're going to do some drilling. We're going to go to a hot spot in the planet about it, maybe close to Marfa, Texas, or somewhere else, and then we're gonna drill the test well.
Is there multiple hotspots in the U.S. or just in Texas?
Well, no, I think they're all over the world, right? So definitely Giza is one of them.
I'm sorry, I meant in the U.S. is Texas the only one, or is there more?
Well, there's probably a lot more. I'm just using that as an example.
Gotcha. I apologize. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
So
And, you know, you don't know what makes Marfa a hotspot.
So Marty, should I come back
Maybe
tomorrow?
the igneous layer is close to the surface. Maybe it's more rich in, you know, these peroxide defaults in the minerals. We don't know, but that would be a place I would look at. Other places. I'm not a geophysicist or, you know, a geologist or anything like that, so I'm just saying that you would get the professionals involved. First thing you need to do is convince those professionals that there is maybe some reward at the end of it, right? Because if they think the idea is totally silly, they're not going to get, you're not going to get
Where are the
money.
workshops going?
And the issue is that you really need them. Because
You might want to own your image. I feel.
you'll do some editing.
Yeah, of course.
So basically, you need to get you need the will at the capital and the political will. I mean, so you know the total project, the vision, it's probably on a such a large scale that to push it forward, you need to have buy-in with the government, or at least, you know, somebody who is loaded.
What would you say to the people who claim the government already has this, like keeping it secret?
You know, I don't buy into you know, the conspiracy theories.
I mean, I guess we all put that hat on from time to time from certain perspectives.
Yeah, we do. But you know, I think that if they, I don't think they do. I really don't think they do. You know, we. It would be. I would be very surprised if they did, because they're certainly not apparent anywhere in the United States, and I can see the only country right now that can address or have such a project like that, like the Manhattan Project, you know, something like that, where they throw everything at it.
Well, for one thing, I think, and again, I am not a conspiracy theorist, but for the viewers who might be watching, I want to try to cover all bases. But for, like, Stan Myers, for instance, he made a car that ran on water, and then they took his patent, and he disappeared, the patent disappeared, the car disappeared.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, some people believe that's true, and whether or not any of this is true, there's always going to be people that believe things like that.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm more curious to get everyone's views, because when you talk to people who are actual professionals rather than conspiracy theorists, it's always good to get their opinions to share with people, because the conspiracy world, if you want to call it that, they're all watching the videos of people who aren't experts in their field.
Well, I kind of listened to a lot of conspiracy theories. When I published my first book, I would have expected to see black helicopters circling in my house.
I mean,
and you know, a lot of people who come up with these ideas on, you know, new technologies, they don't share it the way I did. I just blasted it out. Open source, right?
Right, exactly.
So nobody owns it. I didn't put a patent on it or anything like that. A lot of people, they'll think they figured out what the Great Pyramid was used for, and they'll file for a patent to protect their idea.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
That's pretty. I've never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah.
But I was just, if there's a possibility that anything like the Stan Myers car was real and they hit it, I guess people with that train of thought think the same thing could potentially happen if the pyramid had technology, or is technology, or can do things that someone already found around it and kept it to themselves. So
Yeah, I know.
wanted to address it as well.
I've heard that story about the evil government or the evil oil companies who are controlling the government, the FBI or whoever, to shut down, or they will buy out a company just to shut it down. So,
And they're interesting theories, but I guess
yeah,
no one really knows.
But I don't spend much time.
No, you don't think that the powers that be would be competent enough to even pull that off? Because it doesn't seem that way. And honestly, that almost seems like the most strong evidence for the case.
Well, the thing is that people will generally put their money where they hope to get the highest return, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, there has to be some kind of balance between reducing electricity costs down to next to zero, like 1 cent per kilowatt hour, which would actually not be very profitable for those who are already invested in, current technology, coal power, nuclear power, solar power, wind power, all the investments into those technologies. Then you come along, slap a pyramid on the earth and start selling it for 1 cent a kilowatt hour. That's going to be extremely disruptive. And so if somebody finds out you're going to do that, then they may do some lobbying against you, and who knows. But
I think you perfectly encapsulated the point behind all their belief systems. So it's very interesting. But what's next for you?
what's next?
Yeah, what's next for?
I am really excited with the presentation that Filippo gave last night. And, he really convinced me that what he is doing is real. It's not fake. He's not trying to fool people. Very honest, open presentation, and extremely professional. I want to support the SARS team as much as possible. At the same time, I'm working with Egyptian engineers and trying to. My work is now being spread in Egypt widely, because it's like you appeal to a person's best self-interest, right? So those who are more amenable to the ideas that we're talking about, which are advanced cultures in ancient Egypt, the pyramid is not a tomb, it's really an energy machine. If you get it running again, it's going to benefit your society. So you appeal to their higher interests. Like one, their self-image and their culture, their heritage is boosted enormously. They're excited about the concept of an advanced civilization. They're dusting off their old manuals of history that Western powers ignored when they wrote the history of the world and put Egypt at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I'm elevating Egypt past the Greeks, past the Romans, and even past
Atlantis.
well, even past the Europeans, the European powers. So you have Egypt. I mean, Rome and Greek are European, but I'm talking about England and France and Germany.
Gotcha. Okay.
And America, right? So it's like the pushback now is like, oh man. The Egyptians are really embracing these ideas, right? And why is NASA interested in what's in the Great Pyramid? I think you have different different points of view, different factions. People prefer, you know, to not to change their ideas. The pyramids are tomb. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you find a UFO in there, it's still going to be a tomb. and then, you know, but that mindset is kind of like the flat earthers. You know, back in when the flat earthers were extremely active, or when, you know, the world before Copernicus, the earth was flat, right? And so everybody believed the earth was flat. Well, there's still a segment of society who believes that the earth is flat.
Yeah, there's a lot actually.
They still, right.
Yeah.
And they'll argue and they'll say, you know, they've got, you know, they've got people all across the globe who believe that. Well, the globe is.
Yeah, they got
flat.
pilots now who are apparently saying, nope, it's always flat.
It's always flat, right? That's bullshit. So, so anyway, you're going to have that. Always.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to go
It's
away.
not going to go away. It's not going to go away. But that shouldn't stop exploration, science and exploration from halting.
As long as there's a mystery, there's an answer to find.
Well, yeah, mysteries, that's another thing, you know. The whole industry has benefited from the whole, you know, the ancient mysteries kind of shtick, where you come to Egypt and, you know, we will show you mysteries that you've never heard of. Oh, the ancient mystery schools in Egypt where
The stories of the
you
initiation.
go into these ancient mystery schools and you're given all the secrets.
Yeah, we have the same problems here.
There's claims that Jesus went through that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's any truth to that, but I have heard the stories.
Right.
It's an interesting way to think about it.
But you know, like Herodotus got a lot from Egypt, and Pythagoras too. I mean, you know, he was reported to go into the ancient history school, and you see things that are present in Egypt that are credited
I was even with
to the Greeks, and you
chair,
know,
probably were done on
it's like the 3-4-5 triangle, Pythagorean triangle. You see it in Egypt all over the place.
Okay.
The ellipse.
Is there a garbage can in the
You know, an
way?
ellipsoid.
Yeah.
They're all over the place in Egypt.
Don't get up.
So they
An
knew.
ellipsoid, is that what you said?
Ellipse.
I'm not familiar with that. What's an ellipsoid?
It's solid. It's like it's like you take an ellipse, right, which is a two-dimensional ellipse. And then you spin it on its axis
Okay.
and create a wireframe, right?
I've never heard that
And
term before. Okay.
And then it's what you call an ellipsoid.
Almost like an egg shape.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Right. It's
Okay.
like an egg. Yeah.
Let me transition real quick because this is going to be separate, like almost a separate video. But were you ever familiar with, or did you meet Mr. Onan, the man who built this place?
No, I did not.
I was just curious because I plan on doing a short documentary with his son and talking about this place, and I figure while I'm sitting with everybody, I might as well get their take on him and what they think. So
Right.
if any
Yeah.
comments on him or the place, I'm going to add it to that. It's going to be separate from this, but just figured I'd ask you, what do you think of the place?
It's nice. I've heard about it for years, and I always wanted to come up here. Never had the opportunity. I've been invited to speak a few times by Margaret. And in 2003, I was able to come up and do a presentation. So it's all very impressive. What a guy! Yeah,
Right.
That's a guy with a vision, right?
And the people here.
What a legacy! Yeah,
It's like a whole new
Bringing
world
people
here.
together, Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts? What's your website where people can reach you and contact
Well,
you, stay up to date?
GizaPower.com is my website.
GizaPower.com.
Yeah.
And any projects that people can follow along and stay up to date
Well,
with
I'm
the
going
research?
to, I've got an article coming out in Ancient American in December.
You're gonna wear that
I'm
part up.
actually
You're gonna start wearing
continuing
that?
to research a
And
couple of
you
artifacts
you
that
don't
I
even make
have
it
talked
visible,
about
put it in your
the
bra, put it in your bra.
past. And the Peach number 7, and
At a
also
minimum, it
the
should be in your
pre-dynastic
car.
vases.
If you refuse to wear it, then it
precision
should be in your car.
So that's going to take up a lot of my time. I think I'm going to go to Egypt next year with Filippo and Trevor
Mhm.
and Amanda, so.
Yeah, we were going to go in November, and I think we're also going to try to go in March. But not, as far as I know, I don't think anything's quite set in stone yet. But I absolutely want to help to make that happen as well. Donate whatever I can. So I absolutely love being a part of this, even in the smallest of ways. So, it's
So when did
amazing.
you get involved?
I started researching this on my own, honestly, about probably 5.5 years ago. And then it wasn't until 2 years ago that I got serious about it. And I made the connections that I didn't previously make. And just, I got really into connecting all this energy tech with the pyramids, with the Bible, and with the nature of reality and
I love those
consciousness.
bags,
And
but
I'm pretty sure you can
love
guess
those
the rest
bags,
there. It
but
just
I'm
kind of
not allowed
snowballs
to
into the topic. So I
So
reached
do you
out.
do this full time or what?
I do now, yeah. I reached out to Trevor just randomly after watching one of his videos and just said, hey man, I'm fascinated with this. I've done my own research and I've got some things coming up that I want to offer up to the cause so that I can help be a part of this or help you guys move forward. And we've just been chatting ever since. So we just share articles, share comments, and he invited me here, which was amazing. And then after he invited me here, the people reached out and asked if I wanted to do some various interviews and videos, which is exciting because I've never done anything like this before. I'm not a reporter, I'm not a journalist, but I'm just a guy who's very fascinated and very interested in this. Some people call it an armchair archaeologist. I don't really know the term. But yeah.
Young people like yourself need to be stimulated to pick up the torch.
Any advice for us? Any advice for us going forward?
You?
Yeah, the next generation coming up to.
Don't become bigger than the story.
Very good point. That's amazing.
You know, the thing is that there's obviously disagreement and arguments that go on, right? And a lot of times people get into debates and the topic becomes about them. And it's really the evidence should be having the loudest voice in the room, but it just sits in the corner while these personalities butt heads. It's ridiculous.
So, last question. Everyone's got that one thing that they go right to as their reason for being in this topic, or the one thing that stands out that got them interested, or the one thing that they're in the hunt for, or what's that one thing for you? What's that instant thing you think about when you think of all this, or the reason, or your reason for doing it? What's that one thing that keeps you going in this area?
I can't stop. That's the thing.
Let me rephrase it. That's a horrible way to put it. So,
that's all right.
So there's these mystical things that we all are interested in, and like we all love to believe in magic and things. But it always seems like there's that thing at the end of the road that you're shooting for, right?
Right.
And whether it's real or not, what is it that's keeping you in the game? What's at the end of the trail for you that's keeping you going forward?
There's always something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting to the truth.
Basically, I started this in 1977 and writing my book, and so as I wrote my book, tried to get a publisher. That was 21 years before it was finally published after I started writing. So there's always something to do.
Wow. What was the name of your book for the viewers?
Giza Power Planet is my first book, and second book is Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt, and my third book is Giza, the Tesla Connection, and that's about the electron harvester. But yeah, there's always something to do. There's always something comes up, and it seems like it's increasing in frequency now. But this whole SARS thing, it kept coming at me, and I'm like, "What do you think, Chris?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, you know, I can't make a spot decision on what I think, and I refrain from commenting on it, but
No worries. I mean, if I asked anything you don't want to comment on, but that's okay.
no,
Basically.
I've already commented on it. I think
So-
it's great.
I mean,
I was initially interested, but very guarded. And I'm a little skeptical. I've become less skeptical as I've learned more. Because, you know, you shouldn't, I did comment on it on my website and on Facebook, and I said that I'm not qualified to judge whether it's right or wrong.
We need more people willing to admit that when they don't know, because most people just throw out an answer so they don't look bad, but that hurts the cause, and people don't realize.
Right.
So that's a good thing. We need people willing to admit, but the whole world does seem to be waking up to this. Am I wrong for saying that?
No, you're not. You're not wrong.
It definitely seems everyone's starting to take this serious.
You're not wrong. It's, I mean, you know, I think as long as those who are supporting it and involved in it just stay out of Twitter or X or Facebook or get into arguments with people. So you're always going to have somebody who is willing to be a critic, a debunker, criticize you, insult you.
It's always going to be there.
It's always going to be there. The trolls are fun. I mean, there are people who just cruise the internet looking for a fight.
Right, yeah. That's
And if they can't
absolutely
find
true.
one, they'll start one.
Yep.
Right? You're going to have those.
I mean, hopefully that'll go away with many other things as things kind of iron
Well,
themselves
the thing
out.
is that, you know, I don't say that you should dismiss criticism, because I think you should consider it the source, and if there's anything positive that you can get out of it, then take the positive and leave the rest. But don't engage with the critics. But there's a natural resistance to something new. And there is a movement, or what we've seen of alternate views of history that is gaining in momentum and receiving more viewers. That is a challenge to the conventional academic model and the orthodox thinking.
Right.
It's a case of follow the money, right? So as their market share shrinks, then they have to respond. And they find themselves at a disadvantage because they are not free mentally to give it an honest, or at least an intelligent opinion. And so they end up outside their lane, arguing with professionals who, you know, they would normally not argue with in the real world, because they don't know what they're talking about.
Seems there's a lot of that in this arena.
Yeah, it's rather funny.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, I watched a YouTube video, and now I'm going to come and argue your points, and it's like.
I guess we're all guilty of it from time to time, but others are more than others. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some people look at it as sport, I think.
Yeah. Or anger. Maybe
Or maybe they just need attention.
Yeah, that's very true as well. Is there any last minute advice, thoughts, anything you want to promote, anything you want to share with the viewers?
You know, the only thing I have is my books, and so, you know, and you can't make a living in this space, you know, with a book, unless you become a huge bestseller like Graham Hancock. So but you know, my books are okay. They're still ticking along. I'm happy with it. But I certainly can't live off what the royalties are, for sure.
So you are going to be attending potentially in November and March in Egypt?
No, not November, but possibly March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope to see you there, man.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. I hope to see everyone here there, because this has been an amazing.
That'll be a fun time.
This has been different for me, but thank you for sitting down and taking the time to sit
Hey, no
and
problem.
chat. I appreciate it very much. I'm a huge fan, so thank you so much.
No problem.
We're going to cut this.